For decades as monarch in waiting, Charles has been a vocal campaigner for climate change issues and environmental protection. One of his private residences, Highgrove House, is a prime example of his commitment to sustainability. The estate's gardens have environmentally friendly features such as solar panels and a natural sewage system. In 2021, he attended the COP26 climate change conference in Glasgow as then Prince of Wales, where he called on world leaders to take more meaningful action on climate change.
You do not need me to tell you that the eyes and hopes of the world are upon you, to act with all dispatch and decisively, because time has quite literally run out.
So, will King Charles III continue to be a meaningful champion of climate change? Let's bring in Edward Davey. He's the co-director at World Resources Institute and he joins us now from East Sussex. Great to have you on the programme, sir. Now, King Charles has expressed plenty of views in his time as Prince of Wales, and a lot of them have been to do with the environment and conservation. At times, he's even been ridiculed for some of them, but tell us why he's been ahead of his time.
The now King has been an incredible leader on the environment since he was a very young man, and I genuinely believe he's one of the people in the world who has been most consistent and most influential on this issue for over 50 years. I had the privilege to work for him for 6 years, a number of years ago, and in that time I saw the work he did on the global stage on tropical rainforests, on the ocean, on sustainable agriculture, on shifting financial markets to sustainability, opening the Paris Climate Change Conference, opening Glasgow in representation of his mother, the Queen. He has been an incredible leader, and I believe that now as King, he will continue to be an incredible leader on the environment.
And King Charles actually wrote a book about a vision for the future of Britain and emphasises the importance of architecture in terms of future planning. Give us a sense of what he means when he says that.
Well, the world is largely urban now, and we have an incredible challenge before us to deliver cities that are good for people and good for the climate. That's about architecture, buildings that withstand a changing climate. It's about transport systems. It's about making cities livable in, able for people to walk in and travel by public transport. The King has had a long set of views about the urban environment and about sustainability in the urban environment. But he's also been incredibly strong on the issue of landscapes, rural development, how we look after and care for farmers. The King is himself an active and brilliant, committed organic farmer. The marine environment, fisheries, he's got a great feeling for fishermen and women around the world, the lives that they lead. So he's got a lot to say about the city, the urban realm, but he's also got a lot to say about the natural world, biodiversity, our dependence on the Amazon rainforest, the Congo rainforest, our dependence on the marine ecosystem.
Edward, I was reading an article earlier today which said that Charles might be the first climate king. Now, monarchs always have to tread this very fine tightrope between getting too involved but then also showing that they're invested in being relevant to the issues of the day. What can he do now as king to further champion these causes? What will you be expecting to see?
I imagine the King will do a lot on climate change and environment. He can convene meetings. He meets heads of state all the time. Any head of state worth their salt in the 21st century should be talking about climate and environment. This is the existential challenge of our time. But he talks to people. He's always had this incredible interest in and love for people. He will travel in his role. And in that role, he can do so much in drawing attention to the issues, whilst at the same time respecting the boundaries that he himself has been very clear he will respect. I've already seen him do that in the 6 months since he became king. He's convened remarkable meetings of leaders on climate change in the run-up to COP27 in Egypt last year, and just a few months ago on how to finance the protection of the natural world. He brought together leaders from all sides of the political spectrum, financiers, indigenous peoples. He's got the most incredible feeling for indigenous peoples from the Amazon and from some of the world's most important areas. He's always had this gift to bring people together around a shared goal, How do you protect the natural world? How do we deliver a sustainable planet that's good for people and good for the planet? And I'm sure he can continue to do that and will want to continue to do that.
Just briefly before we go, Edward, the coronation will be laden with symbolism. Are there any aspects of it which are going to reaffirm King Charles's commitment to environmental issues?
I think you've seen some of that already in the way he's invited people. They've invited people. I think we'll see some of it in the music he's chosen tomorrow. The service will be full of the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. He loves the music of Bach. Bach himself wrote incredible music about the natural world and about humanity. I think we'll see a coronation that's incredibly moving. We'll see the fact that the king has loved the world. He's loved people. He's traveled around the world. He's had a remarkable life already. They both have. And the best is yet to come. I'm so proud of him. I'm so grateful to him. And I'm really wishing them both so well tomorrow.
Edward Davey, thank you so much for joining us.